during the week of April 15th to April 24th, we will be commemorating the 10th anniversary of the disaster that happened at Rana Plaza in Bangladesh. So if you're curious at all about Fashion Revolution Week, please stay to the end and we can learn a little bit about what we can do for the fashion industry for it to be equitable and fair for all who work in it. For the past 10 years, the fashion industry has been commemorating Fashion Revolution Week every April from the 15th and ending to the 24th of April in order to remember all those who lost their lives during the Rana Plaza disaster that happened in Bangladesh, where a building collapsed, housing different garment production facilities, and it resulted in the loss of life of over 1,000 people and countless more were impacted or injured. So if you're curious about that and the history of that, I have a full video on my channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will link it up here. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you can go to my channel, Kupsi Inc., and you can find the video there. There's a whole playlist about Fashion Revolution Week. But today, I wanted to talk about Fashion Revolution Week 2024 and why you should care and what role you can play during this time, and moving forward, what you can do to advance a fair and equitable fashion industry globally as well as locally in Kenya or even in Africa, because I think I'm talking to the African population, but specifically to the Kenyan fashion producers or Kenyan tailors. So if you're a Kenyan tailor or designer, this video is just for you and I hope you enjoy it, and please watch the very end and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, a comment, and let's continue with this discussion. Fashion Revolution Week is working to secure radical change in the way our clothing is produced, sourced, and consumed. The Fashion Revolution organization is pushing for transparency in the fashion industry and supply chain by enacting policy work, conducting investigative research, holding innovating events, social media campaigns, and so much more. Who is a part of the Fashion Revolution? Fashion Revolution is all about people who care, love, consume, produce fashion. So if you're a fashion designer, tailor, or even a fashion lover or consumer, this is also relevant to you. So it is important for us to care about the way our fashion is produced and the way our clothes are being produced and who is affected in the production and consumption of fashion. You may not know that you might be a victim of bad fashion practices. If your environment is affected by fashion, for example, if your rivers, the beaches are filled with fashion and textile waste, or if your business is affected by the influx of fashion from other places and cheap manufactured synthetic fashion, or if you are a garment worker and your working conditions are not fair or they're not humane, then you should definitely care about Fashion Revolution Week. This is about me and you. You might ask yourself, why should I even care about Fashion Revolution Week? Something that is happening somewhere in Europe or somewhere in the US, and you're thinking, I live in Kenya, I have a small business, then this is not affecting me in any way. It is not helping me in any way. Why should I even bother? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly why. We are all part of the system, and we might not recognize that sometimes things that happen in Europe directly affects you and me in Kenya, and it will directly affect your business. So for Fashion Revolution Week to be successful, everybody has to be on board and everybody has to demand the fashion industry to do better. We all know that we are all aware that sometimes the global fashion industry will come to places like Africa and steal ideas and steal our intellectual property, our creativity, take it out there and make money out of it, and then never give back to where they got that idea from. this is also a problem. We should want to have a revolution, and we should want to have a seat at the table when it comes to the global fashion industry, because we are also affected by their practices. As a Kenyan tailor, as a Kenyan designer, Fashion Revolution Week empowers you to take back what is rightfully yours, and it gives you a voice to tell the fashion world that we are here and we demand our equal share in this pie. So by being conscious on how we consume fashion, by not falling into the trap of over-consumerism, of, sometimes when you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, on YouTube, you have all these influencers influencing you to be consuming fashion without any thought, without any intention. And we fall into the trap of buying fashion that is not really helpful to us and the environment, or that we fall into the practice of buying fashion that might be oppressing someone somewhere else in another part of the world. And some of us, if you grew up in Kenya, you are familiar with mitumba. Mitumba is a second-hand clothing trade, which is very crucial to the economy of the country, as well as the social, as well as to individuals. The mitumba trade helps people put food on the table and pay their bills, as well as get dressed and feel comfortable in their clothing, in themselves, and in a very affordable way. However, we cannot ignore that this second-hand clothing trade has also affected the local fashion industry and the local fashion producing trade. So the tailors and the designers who you see in your neighborhood or in the market close to you. If you're born anywhere after independence and you're young enough to remember the Kenya before the introduction of mitumba, there were Kenyan brands that we were very proud of, and there were Kenyan manufacturing facilities and textile milling facilities that we were proud of, and they were part of the economy that are no longer there, or they are struggling to make a comeback. And this is because of the competition that they have faced over the years due to mitumba. Now, I'm not saying we should do away with mitumba, because again, it provides a means of livelihood for many, and it provides a way of people to get clothing at an affordable way. However, I think there needs to be a balance on how much mitumba we take into the country, because some of it is also very low quality, and you can even term it as waste. You don't have to go far. You just have to go to like Gikomba market and see the heaps and heaps of garbage, of clothes that have been thrown out, that ends up in Nairobi River, that ends up on the beaches. And these clothing do not have an end, a place where we can say this is the end of it. It always ends up in our environment. These clothes end up they end up polluting our environment, so to say. Now, if there were systems within the country to deal with the overwhelming accumulation of these textiles that can no longer be used, then we would be having a different story. We would be creating employment, and we will not be talking about the injustice of this trade. And there has been effort to ban the mitumba trade in Kenya, in East Africa in general, because Rwanda has done the same. However, this effort has been getting a lot of pushback from the people, because again, a lot of people rely on mitumba trade, and you can't blame them. This is a source of income for many people. But we also have to recognize that it is also impacting us negatively, and we need to have a discussion on how we can accommodate the importation of secondhand clothing as well as accommodate our native fashion industry. We as Kenyans, we should want to have our own fashion identity that is not tied to the fashion of the West, or is not tied to the fashion of Europe or America. As Kenyans, we also want to produce fashion that looks good to us, and we want to conceptualize our own fashion identity. And having the secondhand clothing trade, or having mitumba so prominent in our economy, it makes it a little hard for us to realize this dream and realize this goal. So this is an example of fashion revolution, where if we join our voices and say, as fashion producers, as tailors, as designers, we also want the industry to be fair to us and to create a space where we can compete fairly with mitumba without feeling like it is, a battle between David and Goliath. And being a part of a fashion revolution is important, because then we are joining together and having one voice to present to our government. And in that spirit, I would also like to tell you about the Garment Makers Association of Kenya, or GAMAK, which I helped co-founded with a few other fashion industry professionals. So there are tailors, there's fabric suppliers, also up and down the fashion industry in Kenya. We have banded together to start an association where we can first give ourselves a voice, a unified voice, to present to the powers that be, to the president, to the government and to the people who make the laws of our country. And to be a part of an association is to be able to build a community in order to learn from each other, in order to discuss with each other and come up with solutions that will help us move forward in the fashion industry. If as Kenyan, we can compare ourselves to the fashion industry of, for example, of Nigeria, which is also up and coming and very prominent on the continental fashion scene. We have to aspire to be better than what we are right now, than where we are right now, and that means being united. And so, if you are interested in joining GAMAK, or the Garment Makers Association of Kenya, go to the GAMAK page on Facebook and join there, and there'll be more information on how you can be a member of this association. It is new, it is growing, but we are working so hard to make sure that fashion industry is put in the forefront as an equal saying partner in the building of the economy of Kenya, and not just an informal sector. We want to make sure fashion becomes respected and is considered a true player in the economy of Kenya. Another reason why you should be involved in the Fashion Revolution Week, and you should keep yourself informed about what is happening out there, or what is happening in Europe and in the US, it's because it affects you directly. So when the laws change in Europe, for example, there's a new law, which I'll make a video about this. There are new laws about sustainability of fashion. It will affect the way fashion companies produce fashion. It will affect the way fabric and textile companies produce their fabric. So again, if you're in the fashion industry, this directly affects you. So knowing what is happening outside our borders will help us stay informed, will help us stay prepared for what is coming down the line in the fashion industry. Again, and the fashion industry is global. The world is moving to a digital global age, and we cannot bury our heads in the sand like the ostrich. We have to keep ourselves aware and informed, because the industry changes will eventually affect you, and how you are prepared will determine how well your business, your fashion brand is going to come out in the end of this. So please be in the know, be a part of the revolution, demand more from our lawmakers, and let us join together. Join GAMAC. There's more information about GAMAC again on the Facebook pages, and make sure that you are not ignoring the news that are coming out of US, EU, or European Union, or these places that are driving the industry, they're driving the fashion industry. We do not want to be swept up in the hysteria without being prepared. And therefore, being a part of the revolution means being a part of this change. So I hope you've learned something today. And if you have any questions, I would like to hear them in the comment section below. And again, you can participate in the fashion revolution by staying educated. You can share what you learn about fashion revolution with your customers, with your friends, with your fellow tailors, with your fellow designers. And again, don't forget to follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I also share fashion industry news. So I used to do more Kenyan centered content, but I think I'll be branching out to more internationally focused content, because it is important to be informed beyond our borders. So please, if you're interested in that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and say hi to me in the comments. I love to see your comments. And again, until next time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Go to GAMAC, go to the Kenya Garment, the Garment Makers Association of Kenya on Facebook, and join there. Join our group, join our association, and and add your voice to our plea for a better fashion industry. And until next time, happy Fashion Revolution Week, and let's stay united in changing the fashion industry.